Hey there. Ready to dive into something you might think you already know?
Sounds intriguing.
We're talking smog today,
Smog, huh?
but we're going way beyond just, hazy skies.
Oh, okay. Going deeper then.
We're going to uncover why it should matter to you,
That's important.
what we can do about it,
The solutions, right?
and maybe even unearth a few surprises along the way.
I do love surprises.
Like the fact that the Great Smog of 1952 in London
Yeah.
was so deadly, it actually forced cities to rethink how they dealt with air pollution.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's just a taste of what we're getting into.
It's fascinating how a single event can be such a turning point.
Right.
And you're right, most people think of smog as just a visual nuisance.
Ugh. Yeah, just like a hazy day, right?
But it's actually a complex mix of pollutants with far-reaching consequences.
Okay, so let's break down this, what I like to call it, smog cocktail.
Smog cocktail, I like that.
I know there are different types,
Right.
but what are the main ingredients that make up this harmful brew?
Well, you've got your classic smog,
Classic smog.
like the infamous pea soupers of London.
Pea soupers.
This type forms when sulfur dioxide from coal burning mixes with moisture and soot in the air.
Oh, wow.
Think of it as the Industrial Revolution's signature scent.
Not exactly a perfume I'd want to wear.
No, definitely not.
And then there's the smog we see over cities like Los Angeles,
Right.
which seems to be a different beast altogether.
Exactly. What we're seeing in those modern cities is photochemical smog.
Photochemical smog, okay.
This one's a product of our car-centric culture.
Ah, makes sense.
It forms when sunlight reacts with nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds from vehicle emissions.
So it's like a chemical reaction
Exactly.
with the sun.
Yeah. The result is a hazy concoction of ground-level ozone and other harmful chemicals.
So we've got the old school coal-powered smog and the modern car-fueled version. Both sound pretty nasty. But what exactly makes them so dangerous to us?
Good question.
I mean, it's just air, right?
Well, it's the stuff you don't see that's the real problem.
Oh.
We're talking about particulate matter, microscopic particles of dust, soot, and chemicals that can lodge deep in your lungs.
Wait, so it's not just about the visible haze.
Nope.
There's a whole invisible threat lurking in the air.
Precisely. And the size of these particles is key.
Okay.
The smaller they are,
Uh.
the deeper they can penetrate your respiratory system, causing all sorts of damage.
Oh, wow.
Imagine these tiny invaders setting off a chain reaction of inflammation and irritation in your airways.
That paints a pretty disturbing picture.
It does.
So what are the real-world health consequences of breathing in this stuff?
Well, the list is long and concerning.
Lay it on me.
Smog has been linked to asthma, bronchitis, decreased lung function, and even heart disease.
Wow, that's a lot.
And it's not just people with existing conditions who are at risk.
Right.
Studies show that prolonged exposure to smog can impact everyone,
Everyone.
but children, the elderly, and those who work outdoors are particularly vulnerable.
So it's not just an eyesore.
Right.
This is a serious public health issue.
Absolutely.
But it sounds like the consequences go beyond just our lungs, right?
You're thinking about the environment.
Yeah. What about the impact on the environment as a whole?
Smog is a major environmental villain.
Okay.
It damages crops, reduces agricultural yields, and even stunts the growth of forests.
Wow.
It contaminates our water sources and disrupts entire ecosystems.
Wow. I never realized the impact was so widespread.
It's pretty significant.
I guess it makes sense, though. We all need clean air, clean water,
Yeah.
and healthy ecosystems to survive. It's all connected.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the even bigger picture,
Bigger picture.
smog also plays a role in climate change.
Oh.
Some of those smog ingredients, like ground level ozone,
Yeah.
are potent greenhouse gases, trapping heat and contributing to the warming of our planet.
So it's a vicious cycle. Smog is both a symptom of our reliance on fossil fuels and a contributor to the climate crisis.
Exactly. It's a complex web of interconnected issues.
It can feel overwhelming when you start to see those connections and realize just how big this problem is.
Yeah, it can be a lot to take in.
But I have to believe there are things we can do to fight back against smog, right?
Absolutely. And the good news is, it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
There are real solutions out there.
That's what I like to hear.
And many cities around the world are already leading the charge.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
What are some of the most promising strategies that cities are using to clear the air?
One of the biggest game changers has been tackling traffic emissions.
Okay.
which we know are a major culprit in smog formation.
Yeah.
Cities are investing in better public transportation,
Public transportation.
making it easier and more affordable to get around without relying on personal cars.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about those of us who love our cars? Are there ways to make driving less harmful to the environment?
Well, many cities are incentivizing the switch to electric vehicles
They're electric vehicles.
by offering rebates, tax breaks, and expanding charging infrastructure.
That's great.
And we're also seeing a push to make walking and cycling safer and more appealing.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Think bike lanes, wider sidewalks, and pedestrian-friendly urban design.
Those are some great ideas. I love the idea of cities designed for people, not just cars. It makes them more livable and enjoyable for everyone. Plus, it gets people moving,
Right.
which is good for our health, too.
Exactly. It's about creating a win-win situation for both the environment and the well-being of citizens.
Totally.
And speaking of nature, let's not forget the power of green spaces.
Oh, yeah. Green spaces.
Trees are nature's air purifiers,
They are.
absorbing pollutants and releasing clean oxygen.
You know, I've always loved trees, but I never thought of them as pollution fighters.
They're little warriors.
Are cities actually planting more trees to combat smog?
Absolutely. Many cities are embracing urban forestry programs,
Good.
planting trees along streets,
Yeah,
creating green roofs, and establishing parks.
I like that.
It's a simple but effective way to improve air quality and create a more beautiful urban landscape.
So cities are really stepping up, but what about the industries that are often responsible for a lot of the emissions in the first place?
Right.
Are they doing their part to reduce smog?
Well, there's definitely a growing awareness that businesses need to be part of the solution.
Good.
And we're seeing some positive shifts.
Oh, like what?
There's a move towards cleaner technologies and renewable energy sources like solar and wind power.
That's good to hear. But are these changes happening fast enough? I mean, some companies seem more focused on profits than the planet.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's true that change can be slow,
Yeah.
and there's definitely a need for stronger regulations
Yeah.
and enforcement to hold companies accountable.
For sure.
But what's encouraging is that governments are increasingly offering incentives for businesses to go green.
So it's becoming good for business and the planet. And that's what I like to hear.
It's definitely a step in the right direction. But even with these large-scale efforts, individual actions still matter a great deal.
You're right.
We all have a role to play in reducing smog.
I was just thinking about that. It can feel overwhelming, like our individual choices are just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
What can we actually do that will make a difference?
You're right. It's easy to feel insignificant in the face of such a big problem. But every action, no matter how small, adds up. One of the easiest things you can do is stay informed.
Stay informed.
Check your local air quality reports and take precautions on days when smog levels are high,
Okay.
especially if you have respiratory problems
Yeah.
or are sensitive to air pollution.
That's a great reminder. We can't always see or smell smog, so checking those reports is key. What else can we do on a personal level to reduce smog?
Think about your transportation choices.
Okay.
Can you walk or bike for shorter trips?
Yeah.
Could you take public transport instead of driving? Even carpooling can make a difference.
And I know from the research we've been looking at that we can also make changes at home to reduce our energy consumption,
Right.
which ultimately helps reduce smog.
Absolutely. Simple things like switching to energy-efficient appliances, using LED light bulbs, and being mindful of your heating and cooling can have a significant impact.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And did you know that even choosing energy-efficient transportation and reducing food waste can help cut down on smog?
Wow, I hadn't considered the connection to food waste.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. It's amazing how many ways we can contribute to this solution.
You're absolutely right. And never underestimate the power of your voice.
My voice.
Support policies that prioritize clean air, vote for leaders who are committed to environmental protection, and speak up about this issue with your friends and family.
I love that. We can use our voices, our choices, and our votes to make a difference. It's encouraging to see how many solutions are out there.
It is.
It feels like we're starting to shift from awareness to action.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's one thing that keeps coming back to me. We've talked about the impact of smog on our health,
Right.
the environment, even the climate. But what about future generations?
That's a big one.
What kind of legacy are we leaving for them?
That's a crucial point. We can't just focus on cleaning up the mess we've made. We have a responsibility to ensure that future generations inherit a world
Yeah.
where they can breathe clean air and live healthy lives.
You know, the research mentioned that smog's impact will continue to affect generations to come.
It's true.
That's a pretty sobering thought.
It is, and it really highlights the need for long-term thinking and sustainable solutions. We need to break free from our reliance on fossil fuels
Okay.
and embrace cleaner energy sources.
Yeah.
We need to design cities that prioritize people
Yeah.
and the planet.
I like that.
And we need to change our consumption patterns to reduce waste and minimize our environmental footprint.
It's a tall order, but it sounds like we have the tools and the knowledge to make it happen.
We do, and we're seeing progress being made every day.
That's good.
New technologies are emerging,
Yeah.
policies are evolving, and people becoming more aware of the problem
Yeah.
and the solutions. What's needed now is a collective effort.
Yeah.
We all need to do our part.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into smog, I'm left with a sense of hope, but also a sense of urgency. We've got work to do,
We do.
but we can do it.
I agree. It's not about waiting for someone else to fix it. It's about each of us taking responsibility and taking action.
And it's about remembering that our actions today will have a ripple effect for generations to come.
Exactly. Every choice we make, from how we get around
Right.
to what we buy and how we dispose of it, has an impact. We need to be mindful consumers, responsible citizens, and advocates for a cleaner, healthier future.
So to all you deep divers out there, we leave you with this question. What will you do to ensure clean air for yourselves and for generations to come? Think about it, discuss it, and most importantly, act on it. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the hazy world of smog. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making a difference.